St. Louis Startup Week. Am I the ringer?
Yes.
I'm the ringer. Wow, I haven't spoken in front of anybody in a long time that wasn't just in front of a camera in my basement. So thank you all for being here. And also, I have heard that St. Louis Startup Week has been like a huge success, so I want to give them a round of applause because that's really fantastic. I love that this community can come together and celebrate small businesses, so thank you all for coming. My name is Cameron Matthews. I'm a marketer based here in St. Louis. I have worked on both sides of the advertising fence, working directly for brands and working for agencies, managing paid social and search, editorial strategy, email automation for direct-to-consumer brands, e-com businesses, streaming services, and event companies. If you can sell it on the internet, I can market it and I can advertise it. As you can see on the Startup Week schedule, my most recent role was Director of Audience Development at a company in New York City called Made by DOS. But today I am happy to announce that as of the end of November, I will be running my own marketing and advertising consultancy called Cheeseburgers After Midnight, alongside my partner Joe Klingel, who is not here today because he didn't want to make me nervous. We've partnered with local agency Experience Fresh, and I'm so excited to be a part of their team, and we're going to have a blast. So thank you guys for coming. All right, intros are out of the way, so let's talk about ads and making money from advertising and email automation. Super easy, right? Yes. Who here owns a small business? And who here has run ads on their own on Facebook? And who here has had lots of success running ads on Facebook? Okay. And who here has had not much success at all running ads on Facebook? And who here would like to run ads on Facebook but find it extremely confusing? All right. So I'm going to give you the quick gist. There's two forms of this talk. There's a 15-minute version and there's a 3-hour version. So I'm going to give you the 15-minute version. We're going to go through things very quickly, and then I'm going to open it up for questions because I know that you're going to have a ton of them. So who's this talk for? If you sell anything, almost anything, if you sell CBD, I'm sorry, you cannot sell CBD through a Facebook ad yet. You can sell anything through Facebook ads, mostly anything. You can sell cookies and pastries and soda and apparel and courses and classes, and you can sell access, and you can sell tickets and supplements and flowers and cosmetics, and you can run your political campaign through Facebook ads. This requires what marketers call a funnel, and you have a property and people have to know you exist, and people have to get there. And the funnel is mapped to this very simple process, but based on your business case, like your specific type of industry, one funnel could be totally different from the next, and it matters a lot what kind of business you're in, and knowing how to adapt these principles that I'm going to show you is kind of the primary skill of digital marketing. So this is a basic e-commerce funnel. It's very simple. You ship an ad out on Meta or Facebook. It's got a great image or video, some introductory text about your brand. Maybe you talk about a discount. The ad links to a landing page on your store. Maybe it's linked to the PDP, the product description page, for the product you're selling. So someone clicks the ad, browses around the landing page, gets a pop-up offer for like 15% off, let's say. They enter their email address for the discount. They go to their inbox, they grab the discount, they go back to the website, and they check out. That is easy enough, right? Here's an ad funnel from the very popular direct-to-consumer brand Everlane. You can see here that it's meta ad. It's a compelling meta ad, so this is a video ad that's in 9:16 format. You immediately go to their landing page where a pop-up shows up either immediately or after you perform some specific action. Then you get an email for that 10% off. You grab the code from there, or it's an automated code. Then you go back to the site to purchase. This is like how everybody in e-com runs their marketing. Everybody. There are permutations of this to infinity. Like you can optimize every piece of this funnel to death. You can make 50 ads, all with different videos and photos and carousels. You can A/B test different offers on your pop-up until the cows come home. You can share different landing pages across these ads to see if certain products are stickier than others. And you can A/B test your emails with like an SMS message for mobile customers. Some of our clients have a 14-part funnel, and some of them have a 3-part funnel. And of course, there's tons and tons of gurus online that will say, this is exactly how you should do it, and everybody else is wrong. And they're also not wrong, but really, there is no one-size-fits-all solution for this. So buyer beware. A lot of the criticisms about the digital marketing platforms are true. Facebook is very difficult to discern, especially the deeper you get into it, but that does not mean that they won't work for you. We have clients that spend 50 grand a month on ads and get a 3x return. We have clients that spend $3,000 and get a 10x return. We also have clients who spend 25 grand a month and see no discernible return, but when we turn the ads off, their business diminishes by 60%. So your mileage may vary, and just because you're not seeing tremendous results does not mean that it's not working. So we've worked with brands with like almost no setup, no history, and more frequently than not, we are working with clients who have used an agency before, and we are brought in to fix and optimize what they currently have. So let's say you understand this basic funnel framework. Let's get started on building some meta ads. Oh wait, we got to do all of this first. This is your mise en place. You can go ahead and bang that hammer on the kitchen tile to see what the original floor was underneath of it, or you can pull the fridge out and do it underneath of that first, and then get started on ads. So let's talk about a couple of things here, and I'm going to go through this very, very quickly. You need to do all of this if you want to do it the right way. But Facebook is going to give you the option to do this in like 3 different scenarios to actually build ads on their platform. And they're all a trap. So this is the easiest way to do this. So you need to make a Facebook business profile. You can't just have a Facebook profile. You need to make a Facebook business profile, but don't go to the accounts page. You have to go to the settings page, because the accounts page is not going to give you the answers that you need. The settings page is where you have to start. Okay, so another thing is if you have a business, do not create a Facebook profile for your business that has its own login and stuff like that. You have to be a real person. Everything that Facebook does is based on a verifiable human being with a credit card attached to who they are. This is so that they make the site super secure. So definitely don't do that. Use your own personal profile. Facebook will probably ask you to verify your profile. They might ask you for your driver's license or your passport or who your firstborn child is. So all of that information Facebook is going to take, whether you want it to or not. There's a bunch of stuff that you have to own on here. So you need to add people to the account. Like I said, must be real verifiable Facebook users. Add the Facebook page to your business account, add your IG page to it, create a new ad account, add your tax information, is super important, business address, and then your credit card number. And then there's like a whole list of things that you have to do to connect your Facebook pixel to your website. And then once you do this whole thing right here, I mean, it's totally done, right? Actually, there's even more that you have to do before you even make one single ad. So, and just spoiler alert, I will give you this sheet after we're done. Let's talk just about custom API connection, because that's super important. Does anybody know what CAPI is? API? No. Does anybody know what iOS 14 is? And the controversy behind that? Yes, it made it more expensive and worse. So in the summer of 2020, Apple started a war with Facebook and Google over something called iOS 14. So if you opt out of tracking on an Apple device between then and now, Facebook will drop your information entirely from any ad funnel that you are captured in. So that means that over 40% of all information captured on the internet by your ad funnel was virtually wiped out overnight, and that is still the case. But there are a few ways to overcome this, and it's volume of events. Events are like adds to cart, purchases, landing page views, view content, stuff like that, leads, or you can connect your site to Facebook using what's called a custom API connection. You will have to most likely hire a developer to do this. Facebook does not give instructions on how to do it. If you walk through the back end of their events manager, it will say connect the API to Facebook, and it will offer no guidance whatsoever. So there are a couple of other ways that you can do it, and if you have Shopify, it's super easy. So in Shopify, you can actually connect directly to your Facebook business account and pass a lot more of that information through, and it should abate a lot of the issues with iOS 14. But why is it like this? Why would a self-serve platform like Facebook make it this painfully hard to get to step zero? And that is because it is a corporate confusopoly. So these self-serve platforms are designed to encourage you to spend more money more quickly and with enough results to get you to keep doing it. So for instance, Facebook does allow you to make ads directly on the Facebook page in an area they call the Ad Center, but you can also make ads in the Ads Manager, or you can boost a post directly from that post or directly in Instagram. 3 different places to do this, the exact same thing, but each ad platform has different options. It's totally nuts. Don't use any of them except for Ads Manager. Stick to that. Again, this is not a one-size-fits-all solution and totally depends on the type of business you run, but I do think that you can get really far with what I call a 3-campaign ad funnel on Facebook. So this consists of traffic ads, conversion ads, and awareness ads. Traffic to fill the upper funnel, as you can see here, with enough volume so that you are getting as many signals as possible. Awareness so that you can get the cheapest impressions for the lowest cost. And conversions so that you can actually arbitrage your ad spend into making more money. I'm going to talk about targeting in a couple of minutes here. But basically, whenever you build your shells in your Facebook Ads Manager account, each one should be conversions, traffic, and awareness, and Facebook will walk you through how to pick each one. So a layer down from campaigns is ad sets. And ad sets are basically just what audience am I going to use here. An ad set can have as many ads as you want, but Facebook will pick a winner within one day. That does not mean the winning ad is the best ad, and that is because the algorithm is super dumb, and we have to teach it over time, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so this is a basic ad setup that I have up top. I have slightly different naming conventions here, but this is a cosmetics brand that I work with. Prospecting landing page views, awareness, and then I have a holiday offer conversion funnel. This is a top of funnel, and by top of funnel I mean nobody has ever seen your site as far as we know. They've never visited, they've never performed any particular action. They have no idea who we are. It's just totally cold. And actually, most of this funnel is based on totally cold traffic. What we want to do is make sure that we can get as much volume as possible, like I said, out of the very top of this funnel so that we can start adding layers later involving retargeting and remarketing and stuff like that. So as far as targeting goes, guess what? We're just going to use open targeting because of a lot of different reasons, but especially if you are a small business and you have a really small budget. Because, like I said, Facebook's Pixel is not intelligent, especially after iOS 14. It only has a 180-day memory, and you have to teach it who your perfect customer is during that time frame, which is all the time. So every day that goes by, 180 days ago, you lose that day. So a lot of people have a lot of problems in like the beginning of summer because all of their Christmas data is gone. So you need as much volume as possible, like I said, so open up those floodgates and let the people see who you are. And you can also use what we call interest-based targeting in order to exactify your customer search. But this does come with a huge caveat. So sometimes interest can be hyper-relevant and have an excellent volume of users, like Cat Protection, which is the UK's largest cat charity. So if you like sell cat toys or anything feline related, that's an excellent no-brainer of an audience. And then you have another audience like people who love the movie Scary Movie. There's 300,000 of them, and I can guarantee you most of these people have no idea that this is associated with their account in any way. Because most of this data is super old whenever you were filling out Facebook when you were in college. And all of that legacy data is still around. And if you remove it from your account, Facebook still counts it. So you will be targeted based on your college behavior forever. Thank you, Mark. And then, yeah, every single one of those people says, grab my strong hand like once a year. And then the ads manager has other garbage like this. 81 to 96 million people like traffic. What does that mean? There's like thousands of results like this. Like this is totally unusable. So I would steer clear of interests in almost every scenario. You can test them alongside your own data, which I'll talk about in a minute. But for the most part, we're going to be using emails, phone numbers, and data that occurs on your website, leveraging that in order to build audiences. We're not going to use interests. Does anybody know what a lookalike audience is? Okay, cool. So a lookalike, just to let everybody know, is an audience based on modeled behavior. So it can be based on people who add to cart on your website. It can be based on people who went to a specific page on your website, or it could be based on people who purchased from you. And you can create a lookalike out of almost any piece of data, especially if you have like a data warehouse. I'm going to talk about Klaviyo in a minute, which is a great email software. And you can cut up audience segments in any way that you want. So again, these audiences are modeled off a specific behavior, but they do require a ton of data for Facebook to build. So that brings us to email. And that's, so, okay, let's recap for a second. We build our three-part funnel. It has traffic, awareness, and conversions. We get people to come to our website and perform an action. We capture their intent with the Facebook pixel that tracks their goings-on the website. If we're selling something, like literally anything, we can give them an initial offer. We can grab their email address or we can grab their phone number. They grab the code, they stay involved with email, and the cycle repeats itself. And again, each level of that funnel can be optimized to death. It can be repeated, and you can add more and more layers of the funnel. My favorite marketing tool in the whole world is called Klaviyo. It is a quiet startup out of Boston that is worth like $1 zillion, and it will make you money while you sleep. If you're already on MailChimp or Emma or like Squarespace's own mail, I do encourage you to switch to Klaviyo. It is more expensive, especially lately. They have raised their prices. but the automation functionality of Klaviyo is basically unparalleled in e-commerce. It will just dazzle you. So I really love the tool, and I think you should use it. So it's super clean, it's easy to use. It integrates with Facebook audiences, which is amazing. So you can make a segment of people, like let's say, this is a cookie company that we work with. Let's say I just, for some reason, want to make a segment of people who only bought chocolate chip cookies within the last 365 days. I can make that segment in Klaviyo, and I could push it to Facebook and say, hey, Facebook, I want you to model the behavior of these people and make a lookalike of it, and then I can use that for targeting. And then, if I really want to be exact, I can exclude all of the people who already bought chocolate chip cookies from that audience when I create my ad, so it makes it like super tight. One note on making lookalikes, when you are making them, anywhere between 1.5 to 5 million people is a good rule of thumb. That's how many people should be in the lookalike. You will try to make lookalikes out of really small pieces of data, like if you only have 200 emails, it unfortunately will not work. The match rate is very, very low. You need anywhere between 1,000 to 5,000 emails in order to model behavior. You can do it with less. I've done it with much less than that, but you just kind of have to try it and see if Facebook will take it. So in my opinion, a person's email is their passport to the internet. So when I give Facebook your email address or your phone number, I can match it to your actual profile. So yeah, you can take a list of 10,000 emails that you have. Facebook will match it to real people, and you can use that to target. So this is a basic welcome series setup. Somebody comes to your site, they fill out the pop-up, they go to the inbox, they get the code, they go back to your site, and they complete their purchase. So usually we do like a 3-step layered welcome series. And they're one day after the other. They have a 24-hour time delay in between. If somebody purchases after the first email, they actually don't get the rest of these emails. So the whole thing about email automation is, am I talking to somebody when they need me to talk to them, to actually remind them? Am I not overstepping? We think that less is so much more with email, which is different than a lot of e-com people will tell you. A lot of legacy e-com brands will send emails every single day. If you go sign up for Bombas right now, Bombas socks, you will get an email every day for the rest of your life, and you can try to unsubscribe, and I wish you the best of luck. So even if we use Klaviyo's out-of-the-box setup, like they have these series that you could just grab, I think you'll actually achieve success with that. You don't have to have a super fancy, super functional welcome series or abandoned cart series or any sort of automated series. You can use what they have out of the box. You can throw your branding in there. You can change the copy, and you're off to the races. You can even build a mobile and desktop-friendly pop-up that will fire on your site, especially if you have BigCommerce or if you have Shopify. That is the friendliest integration with Klaviyo. So one thing I will say about that is that whenever you bring people into your website and they fill out the form, you should turn off double opt-in. Does anybody know what that is? Double opt-in is required in the EU, so you have to send an email, and it's automated. Klaviyo does it for you. You have to send an email that says, are you sure you want to subscribe to this? And then they click yes, and then they get your email. The United States has no such privacy laws, so turn it off. So this is the basic content that I put in a welcome series, and that is 3 emails. So I have the code introduction in the first email. I have a brand explainer in the second email, and then I have the code reintroduction in the third email. The reason why we don't go much deeper is because people are only looking for one thing: a reminder that you exist and a reminder that they get a discount. There are so many other automated flows that you can put on your business that will continue to teach customers about your brand, both pre-purchase and post-purchase, but this is like bare bones basic functionality that you can use. So for the pop-up, you do need to optimize it for both desktop and mobile separately. You can build 2 different pop-ups. You can build the same pop-up, but it renders kind of weird on 2 different devices. So I always recommend 2. You can A/B test the initial offer as well. You can give a free hat. You can give a free shirt. You can give 10% off. You can give $15 off. People, for reasons I don't understand, respond to whole numbers and not percentages. I think it's because they don't know how to do math in their head. I certainly don't. So if you offer $20 off next to 15%, $20 wins every single time. And then there's a little thing called a tag-along tab. So visit any e-com, any e-retailer today, and you'll see it, especially the bigger ones. So when you go to a site that you've never been to, or maybe you visited in like incognito, you'll get the pop-up within seconds of arriving on the site. X out of it, and a little tab will show up in the corner, especially if you're just window shopping and you're not ready to put your email address in. That little tab will follow you around the rest of the site so that you actually don't lose out on conversions from people who were looking for the discount once they found a product that they really enjoy. And then again, as far as segmentation goes, this is audience segmentation. Set up a pop-up capture list that'll be associated with your pop-up, and then turn off double opt-in. So before I get into questions, we do have a functioning funnel now that can help you sell your products more profitably. You do need to give this entire system time, and you need to give it gas. So we recommend at least $2,500 minimum per month in ad spend and 6 months of runway. If you have less than that, I would hold off on running ads until you can swing that. It'll just maximize your bang for your buck. Look, I know that we've gone through a lot in a short amount of time, and it is Friday, and it is almost 4 o'clock, but I thought that I would open it up for questions, if you guys have any.
So if you are not, if you are not e-commerce, I'm sure a few things would change, but I'm specifically interested in whether you would still suggest open targeting for ads, and then any thoughts or experience you have on ads going directly to like a tripwire versus a free opt-in.
Cool. What kind of business are you in?
Digital products and services.
So you run a SaaS company?
No. We sell digital product templates
Oh,
on
okay.
one hand, and then we do legal services on the other.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like contract templates.
Uh-huh. Tell me about the tripwire you have running.
So one that we have is a $27 product that's called Happy Hour Your LLC. It's geared towards coaches, online coaches that need help starting their LLC that would then lead into a funnel to sell them their contracts and stuff.
Uh-huh. That's cool. I think that that works great. Again, like...
It did not.
It did not? Well...
I mean, I think it's more of I can't figure out ads, especially the audience piece, I feel like.
Were you using Facebook or were you using
For
LinkedIn?
Facebook, yeah.
That one's tough. So doing B2B advertising on Facebook is extremely difficult. You need lots of money, and you might not actually see any results on paper, but when you turn it off, you might actually notice a change, like there might be fewer people coming through the door. There might be fewer people that are giving you a phone call or emailing you. So it does work for awareness, but I would push more towards LinkedIn. The premium is so much higher. You might get a super interested person clicking on a LinkedIn ad, and it might cost you $60. But they're hyper-targeted, and you don't have to teach the Facebook algorithm who your main audience is. Even if they're on Facebook, I would try building a lookalike audience based on anybody who's signed up for you. Do you have more than 200?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I would start with that, see if Facebook can actually double that or model it to create a lookalike. And if it can't, I would buy traffic on Facebook and send as much open traffic as I can. Because what's interesting is the algorithm actually will learn more about your business, even in open targeting. It just takes a long time.
Okay. Thanks.
Is that the same for a business that has very specific targeting? Like I have a business where I want everyone I have like, oh, sorry. I have a business where it's like specifically women 18 to 50.
Okay.
So like, is it the same for that type of business?
You can target women 18 to 50 easily on Facebook. And you can just do that right in the targeting itself, and then just add no additional targeting to it, if that's like your broad cohort.
I try that, and like with the content, sorry, with the content that I post, I'm only getting men.
Oh, you're only getting men? Oh, and you filtered out men? Oh, that's
It's
interesting.
I do full body waxing, so if
Uh-huh.
I post a video where it's like, I'm getting men.
I
Like I
understand.
got over 100 men followers in the past week. Like, I
In-
mean, maybe like a small 10% were women, but
Yeah.
it's men.
But your ad dollars are not functioning because there's,
I'm not getting the clients. that
Yeah,
I want
there's
because
dudes
it's
clicking
men
on this.
Wanting to see my Brazilian waxing videos.
yes, exactly. I am familiar with this, unfortunately. Ran ads 2 years ago for a sparkling tea brand. Most of the ads were just basically photos of the can in like different settings, and then we had one video with a woman drinking the can, and traffic went up 500% overnight, and it was all men, just because it was a pretty girl drinking a can of soda. The internet is awful, but what I think that you should do is definitely run it again. Definitely eliminate men again. I don't know why the internet. I don't know why the algorithm would serve it to men unless some women are liking it and sharing it or clicking on it, and it's showing up in other people's feeds. Another thing that's very interesting is, this is actually hilarious. If you live in a house with somebody, you could get the same ads as they do if you're on the same Wi-Fi. So there might be a bunch of dudes out there whose wives or girlfriends are looking at this ad, and then they're getting served the ad, but instead of their wives or girlfriends clicking on it, they're clicking on it.
Yeah, I'm getting like a huge following on TikTok. Like, like I had a video with 7 million views.
That's awesome.
Well, it would be if it was like giving me what I needed to
Yeah.
give me, but it's giving me men with
Yeah.
inappropriate comments when really I want women and I want to educate women on waxing. And so like even
Yeah.
though I'm targeting, like they're overpowering what I have.
Do you have an email list at all?
Well, I do, but I just moved to St. Louis, so my email for St. Louis is very like limited.
Okay.
Versus Virginia Beach, I have hundreds and hundreds, but here it's still very
Uh-huh.
small.
We should talk after.
Okay.
I'll give you some pointers.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? I know we went through a lot. Yes.
Curious, this is a lot about meta.
Yeah.
How much of a difference is this versus Instagram? And then you started talking about LinkedIn specifically around B2B. How different is, obviously the process, I'm guessing, is a bit different, but in terms of, let's say, conversion rate,
Yeah.
I'll just say the obvious, like who's on Facebook? Like everyone feels like they're on Instagram. Who's actually on Facebook, the platform? Or is it all the same?
So we do something called optimizing for the algorithm. So we give the algorithm all the choices that it wants in order to choose where people actually are. Everybody goes to Instagram all day long, but it is actually not a great place for conversion at all. And I've never experienced it as a place where conversions occur all the time. Facebook is usually where it happens. And actually, probably within the last year and a half, the greater like audience network of Facebook has started garnering more and more conversions. So like if you click on an article or something like that, Facebook will serve your ads within that article if it's on Facebook's accelerated landing page. I recommend against targeting just on Instagram versus targeting just on Facebook and allowing the algorithm to choose which one to serve your ads on. If you know that your Instagram account is great, like if you have 100,000 followers, you have amazing engagement, like go ahead and run ads on Instagram. You will pay a premium, but the audience could be a lot more accurate. And I think it just totally depends on the business case, but my recommendation would be let the algorithm choose. As you get further into testing, you can segment based on the platform.
So would you please explain again about the segmentation? You said you create on Klaviyo, and then you target people on Facebook. So
Yes.
how that works?
So there is, in the integration section of Klaviyo, it's just a section that's called integrations. You can actually connect your Facebook ad account and your Facebook audience account to Klaviyo. So it's a direct connection. That's hilarious. It's a direct API connection in between Facebook and Klaviyo. And so you can create the segments in the audience builder in Klaviyo. You do that first. So you can segment people based on any criteria at all. So if you have a business that sells, let's say, anywhere between 1 and 10 SKUs, you can segment people based on who has bought each specific SKU or who has bought over all time. What I like to do is I segment, one of the first segmentations that I do is I figure out, okay, who in this entire list has ever purchased ever? And then I create that list first, and then I create a lookalike out of that because it's the biggest pot that I can have to give Facebook, and the more data you give it, the better. You can also create segments out of Klaviyo that have what's called LTV or lifetime value. So you can actually push the total amount that people have bought. So if somebody's bought like $100 or somebody's bought $500, depending on the volume that you have of people, you can push that knowledge to Facebook. You can say, hey, Facebook, here's a bunch of people who have spent $500 with me over the last 2 years. They're a VIP cohort. They're super valuable. Make a modeled audience based on this. I could talk all day about segmentation, but I would just start there. And then what's really awesome about Klaviyo is they have amazing online literature that will teach you how to use it. It just might take you a while.
Are there good digital marketers out there that will operate on revenue share versus just pay them ad management along the way?
Your mileage may vary with that. Marketers that know what they're doing will do a retainer model. So I do a retainer model. I don't take any profit share. And I'm a little bit more expensive than other people. But I don't think a marketing agency should be incentivized based on how much money you spend. Because people who do rev share, they'll say, oh, well, you're spending $5,000 this month, but I know that I can't get the results that you want unless you spend $15,000 this month. So I'm gonna make you keep spending more until I hit the results that I want. So that's the main caveat that I see with that. I've worked with plenty of marketers who have that model and are totally worth their salt and are totally competent, but that's just not how I do it. But again, your mileage may vary. It's different with every scenario.
Follow up on that. I think, we had an experience where we hired an agency on retainer and through our ad funnel, basically only broke even on ad spend,
Yeah.
not on their retainer. And then people would pop later in the funnel, but then it's gets hard to kind of
Justify
track
the cost.
that.
Yeah.
So I think, maybe for those companies that have a bigger ad spend and it's clear, but I feel like for smaller businesses just starting out, it's really hard to hire an agency to help with this, even
Yeah.
though it's so complicated,
Yeah.
right?
It's complicated. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and honestly, unfortunately, you kind of get what you pay for. So I would put it like this. It's the cost of the agency, it doesn't really scale. It doesn't have to. It's the cost of doing business now. If you have a property and you want people to find out who you are, this is the cheapest way to do it. You could take out an ad buy on TV, you could take an ad buy, you could do programmatic ad buys all day long on Google. You could do a deal with St. Louis Business Journal and it could cost you 10 grand, 25 grand, and your ROI is less than 1% or something like that. It's a risk, and I think that's part of it. And I think when you're looking for a competent team or a competent marketer, they have to know this stuff. If they know this stuff, they can take you to the next level. But, and I seriously mean this, like if somebody's promising you results, they are a liar. They cannot promise you anything. We have no idea what we're getting into until we get into the business of it, until we really get into the weeds. We can tell you what everything costs. I can tell you, this is how much it costs to show your brand to 1,000 people. This is how much it costs to get somebody to actually go to your website, and this is how much it costs for somebody to hit add to cart. Then we do backwards math based on that, right? So if you know that you can afford a certain amount of marketing dollars, we work backwards to fit within your budget until you continue to grow, until you continue to get data. A lot of people don't realize this, but small businesses are not just small businesses that sell one thing. They are also content companies, and they are also data companies. So if you can be all three of those things, you can be hyper successful, and you can continue to grow. But people got to know who you are, and I think that's part of the cost of doing business. Anybody else? Over there?
Yeah, can I have two questions? One's really quick. Drip versus Klaviyo or Klaviyo?
I like Klaviyo. I mean, you can do a drip campaign on Klaviyo.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Drip, the software?
Yeah, drip.com.
Cool. Honestly, we should just test both. See what we get.
Got it.
Especially since Klaviyo raised their prices. But it depends on the automation. And then I'll come back to you. K-L-A-I, I can't spell out loud. Klaviyo. I think a Klaviyo is like a piece of climbing gear? I don't know. People who work there don't know. And then the second question.
Yeah, the second question was macro headwinds, economic changes, ad spends are reeling back, certainly in certain types of content. How much does that impact? I imagine the answer is it impacts quite a bit, just like any other ad spend gets reeled back. Who's doing it sustainably as a brand, as opposed to like a flash in the pan? Venture capital gets poured into some business, they build a shitty product, they pour a ton of marketing behind it, they sell it to the next stupid buyer that's willing to take that risk. Who's actually building a real business with real fundamentals in the current climate? Using this as, like you made the comment around Bombas, fair point, but they have a real business.
They have a real business. Mm-hmm. They've been around for a long time.
So who's doing it well that we would recognize?
I love this question. I love this question because there's a bunch of what we would consider like a D2C, like a direct-to-consumer dinosaur now. It's like Warby Parker and Bombas and Casper. And all these companies are in terrible fucking shape right now. They are going to have a very difficult year in 2023 unless they continue to have cash on hand. So a lot of them are like pulling back on ad spend because they now have the brand equity that will take them to the next level, and they're gonna have to do a ton of cuts. They're gonna have to have a smaller product line. We have friends at Parachute. Parachute spends a lot of money on advertising, and it is not pegged to ROI. It is only pegged to impression volume. Do we grow our impression volume every single month in order to maintain total dominance on the linen market? That's their whole MO. And they're gonna have to make some tough decisions in the next couple of months because you can't continue to do that. So who are some brands that like do really well with ads right now. I don't want to toot my own horn, but like some of our clients are doing amazing. I work with a Jewish bakery in Connecticut that went from somebody who, it was just a mom who had programs that she would run with different sororities across the United States. And then COVID hit, her business was like totally washed out. And then when I met her, she was like, do you think that this could work as a direct-to-consumer business? I said, let's go ahead and try it. So 3 years later, she has a super popular brick and mortar in Hamden, Connecticut. She makes more than what her operating expenses are month over month. She used to make less than 40 grand a year. And now she's $1 million a year business. And we did it all through this funnel, like the very basic funnel. Another brand, another CPG brand that I've worked with called Porto's Bakery. They are a special case. They're in LA. Have you been to Porto?
Yeah, is it over? It's like the sandwiches, the Filipino sandwiches.
Yeah, they're a Cuban bakery. I think they've been around for like 47 years. Before the pandemic, they did like $250,000 a month.
So popular.
And then, and that was just on e-com. They have 5 locations, so they make plenty of money to do R&D and to like actually upstart their e-com business. And it took them 2 years to basically get up and running. But I mean, after we started, they were doing $1 million to $2 million a month in top line revenue. So it can be done. It can be done well. But it totally depends on like the structure of the company and the like. I work with another brand right now who's really having a hard time. They're in apparel. Apparel is a very difficult space to be in. It's very difficult to make money. You kind of have to just be cool, and they have a hard time being cool, unfortunately. They have money from private equity right now, and we are making progress, and we are absolutely chipping away. But 3 months from now, that money's gone. And we're at 1.5x. And that's not enough for the private equity company. And we tell them that right up front. Like, you probably need to spend more, and you need to be hyper aggressive. And then going back to the beginning of your question, like the headwinds that are coming or may not come, if you stop advertising on Facebook tomorrow, that helps me. Because there is not enough inventory on Meta to handle all of the advertising. It doesn't exist. That's why a lot of ads just don't work, because you put $5 behind it and it just doesn't get shown. And then Facebook takes your money. But the less ad inventory there is, the cheaper the rates. So the fewer big dogs that are advertising, the better it is for the small to medium businesses that I work with that make anywhere between $250 to like, $6 or $7 million a year. They are gonna succeed much better, but it totally depends on who has cash right now. If you have cash, you can win. It was the same thing at the beginning of the pandemic with the COVID bump, and it's gonna be the same thing at the beginning of next year. Do you have a question?
Preferred, like, what's your favorite way to like share analytics with your clients, and like, what do you tell them to look for and how often you look?
So I think that sharing analytics with clients is possibly a very dubious thing, because they have no idea what they're looking at. They're like, I'm looking at a sheet of numbers, what does this mean? So we usually set up like a Google Data Studio, it's also called Looker, and we only put like 9 metrics on there. We look at the cost per landing page view, cost per purchase, cost per add to cart, and a couple of other metrics, and we go through that with them on a call every 2 weeks. And that inculcates trust with them, because I'm not just gonna give you a report every Friday that says, hey, have at it. Read the report that you can't read, because I know that they don't have time either. We did an analysis of all of our opens, because we do send like a link to the report every Friday, and I think it's like 1 in 100 actually open the email. So it's on a call, it's live, it's telling them exactly what we're doing. It's the only way to establish trust, in my opinion.
So I'm in the auction world, and it's more of a service industry, so we can't really like give a percentage off. So what would the best way for me to get emails from clients be?
Well, I think, do you have a newsletter?
Yes.
Is it awesome?
It's not terrible.
Okay. Make it awesome. Make it freaking great. Make it really, really interesting. What kind of, like art? Are you auctioning art?
Yeah, art, antiques.
Antiques? Perfect. You could describe the history of 5 items a week that are going to go up on the auction block on your site. And you can push that out once a week. And you can do a big, deep history in it, and you can run an Instagram account on the side and make sure that you are always telling people about the actual history of these objects. And I think that you can do other stuff like a raffle. Do you have any apparel? Nobody cares about apparel. People want the antiques. They want the art. So if you can't give a percentage off, that's fine. It's just your audience is going to be smaller, and you need to figure out how to get people to read that newsletter. That's because, like, again, like you're a content company, so you have to figure out that piece, and the rest will be much easier. Are we done? All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.